Welcome back to the Pro Sports Podcasters on YouTube. My name is Cobe. Most of you know me as Kobe, and today I want to talk a little bit about the recently announced format for the Own the Moment Rumble. That's the fantasy football variant from NFL All Day. They're using those particular moments to actually run a fantasy football weekly tournament on their platform. And today they went ahead and they sent out the actual rules and roster formation for the Own the Moment Rumble. And unfortunately for me, it only has one defensive position. That's a little bit disappointing on my end because I love the defensive side of the ball. They're using a traditional sort of fantasy football setup for PPR, which is one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, a tight end, a traditional flex, so that's a running back, wide receiver, or tight end, and a defense special teams. And the way the defense special teams is going to work is that whatever defensive moment you pick, you're going to get the full defensive special teams points you would normally if you selected a team, right? So if I was to pick Darius Leonard, then basically I'll get the equivalent points that the Indianapolis Colts would have provided me in a traditional standard PPR scoring system. So really it's just a defense special team, just a DST like you'd see in a traditional fantasy football format. Only in this case, you're allowed to substitute a player off the defense as opposed to putting in the whole defense, but you still get all the points allotted. Hopefully this is just the way it begins. I'm really hoping for a defensive line, defensive back, and linebacker combination that goes into fantasy football. Maybe we'll see that on the Dapper Labs side of things on the actual NFL All Day website. But for Own the Moment, we're going with traditional PPR setup. And there's a couple of tweaks to it. So the first tweak is you get to designate one of your selected players as the hero. And the hero will have to be either a rare or legendary moment. That's where the different tiers come in. The rest of your roster can be commons, which is a good thing because it really means this is open to everyone. But if you include at least one rare or legendary, you can then select one of those, just one. If your whole roster was rares or legendaries, you still can only select one. And that one particular player you pick will earn you an additional 25% of its point value. So let's say you selected Travis Kelce. You put in a Travis Kelce rare as your hero. He gets 10 points that week. He'd actually finish with 12.5 because he gets that additional 25% bonus. So when you're looking at selecting your hero, really, in most cases, unless you're a real speculator, in most cases, you're probably going to go with either a quarterback or a running back because they're the two positions that generally get you the most points in PPR fantasy. You can go with a wide receiver, but wide receivers are always hit and miss. Even the best wide receivers have, terribly bad games, right? Sometimes a wide receiver can be taken right out of the game by a cornerback or just by the way the defense has been shifted. But with running backs, you're always getting lots of touches. And with quarterbacks, of course, they touch the ball every single offensive play. So those are the two positions that are most likely going to give you the biggest benefit when you select your hero position. But what's also interesting about this, and the second little tweak, is the rosters lock before the 1 p.m. games Eastern time on Sunday. But they include any of the players that participated in Thursday night games, in the occasional Friday game or Saturday game, and the occasional Sunday morning game for those games that are played in Europe and such. So you can actually select a player that's already completed their games for that week. So you know exactly how many points they'll provide you. So if somebody absolutely goes off on Thursday night, so for instance, the Thursday night game this year is, I believe, LA Rams versus Buffalo Bills in week 1. So if Josh Allen or Matt Stafford, Stephon Diggs, or Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, Tyler Higbee, Dawson Knox, Gabriel Davis, there's a lot of fantasy relevant players in those games. You also got, on the defensive side of the ball, you got Aaron Donald, you got Von Miller. So you're looking at the Bills defense or the LA Rams defense. If one of those or more than one of those particular players just goes off on Thursday night, you can then select that player for your roster and already know how many points they're going to provide you. if someone really goes off, you can select them as your hero and know exactly what you're going to get out of your bonus points as well. So it creates an interesting dynamic where you'll have people who will probably purposefully just pick the highest performing players from the earlier games before setting their roster on Sunday. And then you'll have others that'll look at it and say, well, those are pretty good point totals, but there's a few players in relatively easy matchups on Sunday that may even be better, and decide to go with the sort of greater risk but possibly higher reward and pick players that have not completed their games for that week. So it's kind of a cool system. I like that about it. I really think that's an interesting tweak when it comes right down to it, but it does disappoint me that we only have the one defensive position. Actually, I'll be talking with a couple of the guys from Own the Moment tomorrow in a conference call. I'm going to mention that to them and see if maybe that's something they've got in the works for later on. But for right now, they're just going to be entering beta during the preseason, and that's going to be open to anybody who has a Jolly Joker. We have applied to become a partner with Own the Moments for the Jolly Joker program. I believe during tomorrow's meeting, we're going to finalize that and get it done. So anybody interested in becoming part of an elite sports community when it comes to NFTs, the Jolly Jokers will be getting minted soon. And if you do decide to go on and get one and become a part of that unique kind of group of NFT collectors, not only will you be entered into the Own the Moment Rumble Beta, you'll also be entered in a best ball tournament for $30,000 if you even just buy one Jolly Joker. But most importantly for us is they keep track of the communities that, send the most traffic their way. And if this is something you're interested in and something you want to really be a part of, if fantasy sports is big to you and the connection with NFTs is even bigger, and that's how it is for me right now, make sure you get on that list. Make sure you find a way to get a Jolly Joker and do us a solid. Mention the Pro Sports Ball Podcasters as your community. Until next time.